is Friday, and you are ending your work week the right way, getting your Crimson Tide football fix on what is the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Alabama football news, notes, and information. That, of course, being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine, and appreciating each and every last one of you for tuning into the network, the channel, and the show on today. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, a lot to dive into. 3 days in of fall camp. The Crimson Tide, of course, had today off. It'll go back to work on Saturday, but a lot to dive into in terms of the conversation. As always, we're bringing the show to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, drop a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, commentary, and material on your Crimson Tide. Not only are we streaming this through YouTube to all my Facebook people out there, Facebook coming at you guys as well. Appreciate you guys jumping on to check out the show. As always, with Touchdown Alabama magazine, you can purchase individual copies of the magazine and have those sent to your door. The link will be found in the description. But we want you being a part of today's conversation. As always, it's great having the man, the myth, and the legend, John Ivory, in the production studio, as always. But we want you being a part of the conversation today. And how you can be a part of this by calling 205-448-1358. And I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard. We're giving you full permission. Blow the phone lines up. Blow the YouTube chat line up. We want your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion, your insight, your feel for Crimson Tide football. So once again, that number, 205-448-1358. One more time, 205-448-1358. We will be able to, later on in the show here, to get a chance to hear from our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Justin attending the Hewitt-Trussville Pinson Valley High School game of the night, so getting the chance to check out one JaQuincy McKinstry, the five-star defensive back target for the 2021 class. But we're diving into here to the first topic of conversation, folks, and after hearing Coach Saban in a Zoom call on Monday and Steve Sarkisian, offensive coordinator, in a presser via Zoom on Tuesday, if you were playing the game, name that coach. The third coach that spoke this week happened to be defensive coordinator Pete Golding on Thursday, the one all the fans want to hear from, the one all the fans wanted to hear an explanation from in terms of what happened with Alabama's defense in 2019 and what directions, what steps will he take to make sure that this group very much so improved much better in the upcoming season. Now, there are three things that I took from Golding's presser. Three things. One of the three things, I did appreciate Coach Golding answering my question at the end. He did take time to answer something from yours truly, but that's besides the point. The main two things that I was excited about from Golding's presser was the energy and the passion that he showed. I mean, when he came initially as the defensive coordinator, he's been here since 2018, but 2019, his first year as the primary DC, came into the meeting room, high energy, high excitement, high enthusiasm, wanted to be here, excited about being here, and that energy is still there. But along with that energy, the number two thing, his raw honesty. Pete Golding put the blame on himself last year for the defensive performance, and he talked about it. Hey, I coached my butt off in some areas, but when you look at the lack of discipline we had, the lack of focus we had, the lack of tackling that we had, the mental errors, the penalties, stuff like that, that's on me. That's on nobody but me. Nobody takes the blame, but myself. And you can respect somebody that is raw, honest with you, because I know for a fact, me personally in the media and a couple of you out there as fans, the idea was, Pete had some injuries. Pete had some unfortunate situations to happen on defense, but Golding made no excuse. He put it on himself, and he talked about it. Hey, I came to Alabama to challenge myself. I wanted all the smoke. I wanted this opportunity to coach under the best guy in college football, under the best man in college football, and run the best defense in college football. And he talked about it. Hey, we're going to get back to doing that. We're going to play fast. We're going to play smart. We're going to play physical. We're going to have multiple sets. We are going to be way better on defense. We're going to be able to execute way more this year than what we did in the 2019 season. So the energy he showed, the passion he showed, but most importantly, the raw honesty coming from Pete Golding, really appreciate that. Now, he also identified the leadership on this year's Alabama team, pointing out names like Dylan Moses. Happy to see Moses running around, helping out the young guys, being an integral factor as he is the captain and the leader of this defense. So he pointed out Dylan Moses. He highlighted Christian Barmore. He highlighted LeBron Ray on the defensive line. He highlighted also Ben Davis and Christopher Allen as leaders. Ben Davis and Chris Allen. And what's crazy is those two were the guys that people kind of overlooked. People kind of, didn't talk about much. People kind of didn't shed any light on those two. But, Pete Golding talked about how Davis and Allen are like coaches on the field now. The entire summer, the entire offseason, the first 3 days of fall camp, both of those two guys were, they worked their tails off. They were in the film room studying. They were bringing in the young guys into the meetings to watch Zoom and have them study and have them, in the film room, having those young guys break down stuff. They really took the younger players at that outside linebacker position under their wings and teaching them some things. And going back to, what a source had told me the entire offseason, I was told, hey, Steven, watch Christopher Allen. Steven, watch Ben Davis. Watch both of those two. The light bulb is on for both of those two. I know they've had some injuries in the past, some self-inflicted things, but they're ready to go. They're ready to dominate. They're ready to provide a serious impact on this team where the defense is concerned. And just going back to Golding, he said when Alabama is in its base 3-4 defensive alignment, when it's in regular and when it's in its regular nickel packages, you will see a lot of Davis and Allen. Now, when it becomes the aggressive looks defensively and the aggressive nickel and the aggressive dime package, that's where you'll see a couple of these young players take the field and see what they can do. Pete Golding also highlighted Patrick Surtain II as a leader in the secondary, talking about how he has taken the young guys in the secondary under his wing, and he's taught them some things. Now, of course, Pete Golding wants to see Patrick Surtain II and Josh Jobe both lock it up at the two outside corner positions, while he wants to get more depth on the field at the star position, at the money position around the secondary where the young guys are concerned. Golding talked about they may not know everything they're supposed to know now, but working on what can these young guys do? Focus on their strengths, maximize their strengths, get them on the field, use that depth, utilize the talent, and be able to build with that talent as they continue to learn the totality of a defense. But that's just the guys in the secondary. And he mentioned the same things at the outside linebacker position. He talked about, hey, we got special talent here at outside linebacker, big talent here at outside linebacker. And they may not understand the full Dime Rabbits package right now. We don't expect them to. But what we want to do, with these guys is find out what they can do. Not what they can't do. What they can do, get them on the field, maximize their strengths, have them attacking, coming after the quarterback, collapsing the pocket, creating sacks, putting pressure on the passing game. And as they continue to grow, we'll continue to broaden their knowledge on the whole defensive system defensive alignment. So he mentioned the leaders on defense. He talked about the young guys in the secondary and trying to use them, the young guys at the outside linebacker position, trying to use them, going back to the safety spot, going back to the defensive back spot here in that nickel role and that star role at slot corner. Keep your eyes on this battle right here of Jalen Armour-Davis, Brian Branch, and Ronald Williams III. That's the big battle right there at that star position between Brian Branch, Jalen Armour-Davis, and Ronald Williams Jr. there. So, but probably the biggest thing Golding mentioned in his presser is the journey of Dylan Moses. Dylan Moses this past year was set up to have a monster year. He had saw all the guys that came before him. He saw the Rolando McClains. He saw the Donta Hightowers. He saw the C.J. Mosleys, the Reggie Ragnars, the Reuben Fosters, all of those guys that came before him. And 2019, he was ready to take on that responsibility. He had worked his butt off in the spring, in the summer. He was prepared for the responsibility to run this defense. He's got this no-nonsense mentality. And when he got hurt, it took a lot, from this Alabama defense, when he got hurt. And I want you to hear right now, this is Pete Golding talking about the journey that was Dylan Moses and his fight to come back to be a part of this team and the leadership that he is showing right now. This is Pete Golding.
And this is a true story. It was the day before he got hurt. This is the first time we meet his linebackers after practice. This is the first time I ever saw him grab somebody by the face mask and really get in their stuff and let them know that's not how we do it here. And that's what I've been waiting on. That's what we've been waiting on. I think as a coach, you can say whatever you want until you're player-led, and you got to do a good job of getting them to that. But until you have a guy to be able to do that, and that's what those young guys needed last year. We're a young room, and they wanted somebody to be able to do that for them and to be able to follow. And that was the first time since I had been here for him. I really saw him wear his emotions on his sleeve and, man, just pour it out. And I told him, he came to my office after that practice like, Dylan, that's it, man. That is it. You busted your butt, and you've done everything you're supposed to at this point. But if he doesn't, it don't matter. You got to bring the other 10 guys with you, and you got to get them invested with you.
That was Pete Golding. They're talking about one Dylan Moses, and just hearing that clip, and I talked about it on Monday's show, there are strengths that Dylan Moses had that the other veteran players in the room last season simply did not have. You had a lot of nonchalant, lackadaisical, happy-go-lucky, laid-back personalities in the room that were not checking things, that were not checking attitudes at the door, that were not demanding, strong play, strong mindset, strong attributes from everybody in the room. And when you don't have that get-right mindset in the room, stuff infiltrates in and stuff goes unchecked, stuff goes undetected. So having a Dylan Moses back, this is a big deal. He's being hands-on. He's checking attitudes at the door. He is making sure that this group executes, that this group knows its stuff, that this team knows what's doing. When Alabama gets back to having a top 3 to top 5, basically number 1 defense in college football for this season, and just going back to that clip played there by Pete Golding, that just reminded me of the 2015 team that sent Tony Brown home. Tony Brown, you don't want to act right, you don't want to roll with the punches, you don't want to get down with the get down, then get on out here then. We're trying to win a championship. We're focused on winning a championship. What Dylan Moses did, that reminded me of the leadership council that Alabama had here a few years back with guys like A'Shawn Robinson, Jaron Reed, Jonathan Allen, Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson, Reuben Foster, Reggie Ragland, those guys. You had players that were more so afraid of those guys than what they were of Coach Saban. What Dylan Moses did, that reminded me of the documentary Rolling with the Tide, where you had, the players on the field and they were talking while Coach Saban was talking, and I think it was Isaiah Buggs that got up and cussed the whole room out. You got to have that player or that group of players to police the team, and to have Dylan Moses back in that spot, really excited to see, what he does here in the upcoming season. And also along with that, two reasons why I feel like Nick Saban did not want to part ways quickly from Pete Golding. Number one, Coach Saban sees a little bit of Kirby Smart in Pete Golding, but also number two, I think Saban sees a young version of himself in the defensive coordinator. But it was awesome seeing Golding speak on Thursday. He was energetic. He provided, the names of the leadership on his team, but he also displayed the raw honesty. Looking forward to seeing what he does this upcoming year. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Upon our return, we address your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions, and even get a chance to talk some recruiting news with one Justin Smith of TDA right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're ending your work week. A little tongue-tied there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, on the show from the break here, hottest show on the streets. Number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And we go to the phone lines right now. Well, prior to going to the phone lines, it's your time. Bama Nation, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And now we pick up that call. My man Waylon. Waylon, happy Friday to you, man. What's going on?
Man, I tell you what, I'm glad to have my voice back. It's Friday on TDA. I'm popping tonight, man. I tell you what. What's going on, Steven?
Doing good, man. Doing good, Wagon. It was awesome to hear from Pete Golding on Thursday. I mean, I don't think a lot of fans expected him to go in the direction he went to, in his presser, but he addressed the elephant in the room. He took the blame on himself for what happened with last year's defense, and he, understands that improvements need to be made. He's making those improvements. Having Dylan Moses back is a big deal, but with the depth that Alabama has at so many positions defensively, he's going to play some multiple looks and get these young guys on the field. So I'm excited about, how Pete Golding broke that whole presser down on Thursday.
Yeah, that was a good press conference, our interview. He really laid it on the line there. Pete had some problems last year, and everything's going to work out this year. Got some key players back, and he was doing the best he could with what he had, and that's the way it boils down sometimes. We can't have the cake and ice cream and eat it both at the same time. Sometimes we have to have a little.
Well, that sounds good right now, too.
Yeah, that's hot weather. I tell you, some of Aunt Emily's pound cake, I tell you what, you done put 15 pounds on me, Stephen. I got to get out of here, though. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Appreciate all the love there, and I hope Samuel's doing good. I don't see him on here tonight. Sorry about his loss there with his grandfather. Like I said Wednesday, my voice is awful. I couldn't talk, couldn't get things out, but we're a little bit better tonight here with these allergies. And we're going to do our poem and roll out here. Everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe. I'll see everybody back on Monday. And this poem here, Spencer gave me the idea for this. And so if you get your ball bat out, you have to go after him. All right, I'm getting out of here. Once again, it's TDA. We have the best podcaster in the business today. It's the big dog, Stephen M. Smith, the icon, the legend. Some say a myth. He never gives up. He never quits. He loves his friends and family in TDA land. So light up the chat, hit the like button, drop some love in the TDA hat. Somebody told me if you don't, he's coming up here to get my baseball bat. Everybody have a safe weekend. I'll see everybody on Monday. Bye-bye, Stephen.
Appreciate that, Wagon. You know what? I got to avoid Wagon's baseball bat, man. That baseball bat is something lethal. But we continue with the calls here on Friday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's up, Steven? This is Sean from Huntsville. How you doing, bro?
Man, doing good. Feeling a lot better after hearing from Coach Golden on Thursday, and I believe he's going to have the formations down, the scheme down, the multiple packages down, and he wants this group playing fast, smart, and physical, so you can't beat that.
Yeah, I gained a lot of respect for Coach Golden. I've always respected him, but listening to the guy, there's something about when a man takes responsibility like that. He stood up there, man, and knowing we had a super young defense, I'm not sure a lot of defensive coordinators would have did any better with the guys we had out there because they were so young. And to hear that guy take responsibility like that, man, it's something about that, man, that I just really, really, really pulled for that guy, man. But I wanted to just talk about something real quick. I didn't get a chance to call the show the other night. I had to work, but I seen some people in the comment section saying that some of the Big Ten schools, they wish they joined our conference. And I want to just drop a little nugget. It would be like, I hate to say impossible, nothing's impossible, but for the Ohio State and Wisconsin and Michigan and Penn State, the breadwinners for the Big Ten to join our conference, even for a year, they would have to the Big Ten would have to allow them to void their contracts, and they would miss out on every year. You know how we split the money, Stephen, at the end of the season? The growth, we split the money. They would miss out on that check. They would miss out on that to have to join even though it was a previous year, contractually, there's no way they could ever join the SEC like that, man. The Big Ten would have to be gracious enough to allow them to do that, and I don't think the Big Ten going to help the SEC do anything. You know what I mean? They playing catch up. Even though they made more money than we did last year. I think we made like $742 and they made like $762 or something like that. I think they made like 30-40 more million than we did when you look at the gross overall revenues of the conference. But each one of our schools individually, they have Ohio State, but I think the SEC is more successful in other things. But yeah, man, I want to tell the guys, they could never do that. Even if we wanted them to, the Big Ten, man, I don't know what they own. You know what I mean? I listened to some of their podcast guys. Those dudes are crossing their fingers, man, that we don't play ball down here. Well, the SEC is not going to play. I'm like, man, these guys are crazy. Like, they really, really, really. And it makes me wonder if you ever did pick one entity to be over college football the way the NCAA is supposed to be, I don't know how they would do it, man, Steven. I don't know how they would do it because we can't even come together on these issues. So I don't understand how the conferences would ever pick one entity to be over everybody. You think?
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And like I mentioned before, I hurt for guys like Justin Fields along with other players in the Big Ten because they wanted this season. They needed it. They needed this season. And it sucks just due to the fact that, And I give kudos to the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 for not just, not jumping the gun, but having the wherewithal to let's push the season back and just see how this thing is going to unfold. The Big 10 is thinking, well, let's start the week on August 29th, week 0, so we can get all the television love and the television contracts. But they really did not see this thing all the way through like exactly. The SEC, ACC, and Big 12 did. So for that, I hurt for those young men in the Big 10 and in the Pac-12 because it sucks.
It does, brother. It does. And I tell you this, too. They feeling it now. And what's worse, to add insult to injury, the Big 10 commissioner, the young man who this is his first year, he gave a spiel about how they're not going to play and they're sticking to their guns, all while his son plays at Mississippi State. So that's like pie in your face. We're not playing, but I'm going to let my son play down in the conference. But listen, man, wanted to call you on my day off, brother, and tell you guys do a great job. Keep it up as always. And as always, we will continue to support.
Appreciate the love there, Sean, man. You take it easy.
You too, man.
Enjoying the call there, Sean from Huntsville. But right now, we're going to go to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, the boots on the ground, Justin Smith, who is currently at the Hewitt-Trussville Pinson Valley High School game to watch 5-star JaQuincy McKinstry, among others. Justin, what's going on, man?
Not much, Steven. Just excited to see some football.
Absolutely. Well, while you're at the game right now, Justin, the first big news was Alabama did get the four-star quarterback from Texas, Jalen Milroe, to commit here a couple of days ago. So they got the commitment here from Jalen Milroe out of Texas. I remember when you were on here in studio last from the show, you talked about he was one of the quarterbacks that Alabama was seriously looking at. You know, he was high on Bama, the Crimson Tide high on him. Now that they have locked in his commitment, tell us about Jalen Milroe and what sets the native Texan apart.
He's a true dual threat quarterback, a kid who can do a little bit of everything. He's a true dual threat in terms of him being able to use his feet to make plays, of course, but also having a strong arm. You're looking at a kid who shows a lot of patience in the pocket. As his head coach told me, he has grown so much from being a sophomore to a junior, and when it comes to that growth, he has been able to develop a lot of patience, also develop a lot of learning of the football game. He's a student of the game as well. He is going to wait till the last second. He's going to try to evaluate all of his options inside the pocket before he takes off. He doesn't want to run the football. He wants to pass and show he's a true quarterback in the pocket.
Absolutely, folks. If you're just tuning into the show, we got the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, one Justin Smith, on the In My Own Words hotline right now. Justin, the boots on the ground in terms of 2021 recruiting and beyond. But Justin, on last night, Thursday night, you actually went to go see a game in Montgomery involving one T.J. Dudley at the linebacker position, rising star, somebody who was also high on Alabama, and with him being an in-state product, what did you see from Dudley? What excites you about him? What can he clean up? What did you see from Dudley?
Well, Dudley showed a lot of different things last night. He showed his versatility. He's talking about a linebacker prospect who sometimes lines up at safety, just showing how versatile he is as an athlete, a kid who can do a little bit of everything. Great closing speed. He showed great closing speed throughout the night. He showed he has something to work on, of course. I think he's a bit raw when it comes to dropping back in coverage at that linebacker position. He can improve on that. But it's a lot to like about the prospect who has Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Oregon, Florida State among his top six.
Now you're out there right now at the Hewitt-Trussville versus Pinson Valley High School football game tonight, and you're out there to watch, five-star defensive back target, your Quincy McKinstry for this class, but not just Kool-Aid, also some other guys in the mix as well you will have your eye on, including the big-time running back Armani Goodwin, who plays for Hewitt-Trussville. What do you look forward to seeing from McKinstry tonight among other guys that are out there that will catch your eye?
Well, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing Quincy McKinstry, seeing what he can do as a cornerback, as well as a wide receiver. I'm interested to see his versatility on both sides of the football. Armani Goodwin, he's coming back after missing most of his junior season due to a leg injury. I'm excited to see what he does, as he made a splash in his game on last season before he got hurt. So I'm excited to see the growth he has made. The Auburn commit, of course, they does hold Alabama offer. There are a lot of other guys to pay attention to. You're talking about younger guys. The younger brother of Alabama's current offensive lineman, Pierce Quick and Wiley Quick. Wiley Quick is another guy to pay attention to here, a rising offensive lineman inside the state. There are so many other guys, Amari Kelly, a wide receiver you may not know about, where most guys will get a chance to learn about him more in the future. There's so many future prospects to know about as well as older guys who have made a name for themselves.
Justin, as we're about to play this clip here of you, working out with Tanner Bailey the last time, you were down there at Gorda working with the four-star quarterback for 2022 in Tanner Bailey. Just watching this clip here, man, you are out there running those routes smooth, running those routes crisp, putting some concepts together. Justin, who was your coach at Robert C. Hatch?
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun working with Tanner Bailey, getting a chance to, relive the high school football days. Yeah, it was a great opportunity to get a chance to break a sweat, bring a new segment to Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page, most importantly, giving you guys some more interactive content. But, yeah, it was definitely a great workout. I don't think my routes was as crisp because I was not able to break down without any cleats, but it was a pretty good workout.
Now, did he drop the ball right there on the hands, or did you have to go up there and just snatch that thing out the air one time?
No, he put it in a great position. I tried to do too much one time, but yeah, he put the ball in a great position.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scout and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the true boots on the ground. He is currently at the Hewitt-Trussville versus Pinson Valley High School game on tonight, watching five-star defensive back JaQuincy McKinstry along with other big-time prospects. Justin, have fun out there. Stay safe. Be good. As always, appreciate you coming on, man.
Appreciate you, Steven.
Justin Smith, the lead scout and recruiting analyst for TDA out there at the Hewitt-Trussville versus Pinson Valley High School game on this evening. But got a couple of super chats here that we're going to shout out here right now. How about Gucci Tide? Shouts out to Gucci Tide dropping that $5 into the super chats. And also, Jay Lee is a big baller, y'all. Jay Lee putting in that $100 bill at Ben Franklin. Jay Lee putting that Ben Franklin there into the super chats. And also Spencer Reveley, another one of our faithful listeners here, putting in that $5 via the super chat. So appreciate Gucci Tide, Jay Lee, and Spencer showing us the love here via TDA on YouTube. We want you to continue lighting us up in the phone line, 205-448-1358, 205-448-1358. Continue to light us up in the phone line and also the YouTube chat line, dropping your thoughts, ideas, questions in there as well. But before we take our next break here, got a small little update topic here, as Alabama had 8 senior players for the University of Alabama this upcoming year. They have been named to the Reese's Senior Bowl Top 250 watch list. So those 8 players named to the watch list, you've got Deontay Brown on the offensive line, Landon Dickerson on the offensive line, Miller Forrestal at tight end. You've got Najee Harris at running back. There is Brian Robinson Jr. at running back. There's Devontae Smith at wide receiver. And last but not least, there's Carl Tucker at tight end. So 8 players for the Crimson Tide seniors that have made the Reese's Senior Bowl top 250 watch list. It's going to be awesome to see as we move into this year and have this year of football where all 8 of those guys do on the field. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we come back, we jump into Jaylen Waddle going into being an every down player this year. Say what? They got to defend Jaylen Waddle on every down? Yes, the opposition does. And we'll talk about it after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're rocking and rolling, folks. We are back in from the break on the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football. News, notes, information, commentary, and entertainment. That being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday. Ending your work week off correctly. As always, it's great to have the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro, John Ivory in the building, in the production studio, doing his thing as he does each and every time. And as always, we want you, Tide Nation, to give a like on the show, give a thumbs up on the show, like the show, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications so that way you can have the best in news, notes, and coverage on your Alabama football program. But we dive into now one Jaylen Waddle. Very entertaining player, very interesting player, very intriguing player. And we spoke on him, on this show quite a lot, quite often throughout the offseason. There have been NFL draft analysts, experts, pundits who have made crafted their evaluations of Waddle, coming up with NFL comparisons for him. A lot of things that have been done this offseason, but the first 2 years of his career, he was looked at as more so of a specialty player, more of a specialty guy. But even with that, even with him not being on the field as often as what he could have been, he was still dangerous. He was still versatile. He was still diverse. He was still explosive. He was still marquee. He had much value. And most importantly, he still placed fear or, delivered fear into the minds and hearts of defensive coordinators and defensive players. So, even though he was a specialty player, he still kind of sort of delivered that fear. But this year, he's going from being specialty player to every down player. You're going to have to defend Jaylen Waddle on every single down this season. So, and what's interesting here is, Steve Sarkisian sort of talked about it during his presser on Tuesday. He mentioned how this past season, people don't realize this, but this past season, Alabama had Judy, Smitty, and Ruggs. So those were the main three. And it was a fight to get Jaylen Waddle on the field. It was a fight to get him on the field. And by the time they would get him onto the field, Sarkisian had to ask himself, okay, we've got Jaylen on the field, but how many times can we give him the ball? If they could only give him the ball maybe 10 to 15 touches a game, if that. Well, not 10 to 15 touches. He would play 10 to 15 plays. He would play 10 to 15 plays, a game to where they had to sort of force feed him the ball. They couldn't give him the ball naturally or organically. You had to force him the football. And even with that, he was still a big-time playmaker. Jaylen Waddle this past year, 1,227 all-purpose yards. That's 560 receiving, 480 punt return, 175 kick return, 5 rush yards, 8 touchdowns on the season in 2019. So even with Sarkisian having to fight, having to stress, having to sort of overcompensate to get him the football, not naturally, you still saw the explosiveness of Jaylen Waddle to make every opportunity count, make every chance, hit, make everything, worthwhile for Alabama in the wide receiver room and also on special teams, especially when you look at, punters afraid to kick to him, kickers afraid to kick to him, so his exploits there on special teams as well. But Sarkisian mentioned on Tuesday that Waddle has embraced the idea of being an every down receiver. He's embraced the challenge. He's embraced the thought. He's embraced the mindset. And with so many defensive players showing that respect to Devontae Smith, Waddle is going to get a lot of opportunities. And just think about this for a second. As difficult as it was for defensive coordinators and defensive players to scheme for, to tackle, to adjust to, as difficult as it was to face Waddle as a specialty player, can you imagine the frustration? Can you imagine the doom and gloom? Can you imagine the breaking of clipboards, of headsets? Can you imagine defensive coordinators going, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I gotta scheme for this brother every down now? I gotta scheme for him on first down, on second down, on third down. Heck, what if Alabama goes for it on fourth down? I gotta watch number 17 on fourth down now too? Yes, you got to be able to scheme for Jaylen Waddle on every single down because he's going to be an every down player. That's going to be fun, man. That's going to be really fun. Watching him put the afterburners on guys, watching him put the jets on guys, watching him maneuver quickly off the line of scrimmage, whether he's playing outside, whether he's playing slot, doesn't really matter because he's going to draw so much attention to where not only is he going to help himself out with this, but on top of that, look at what this does for Slade Bolden. Look at what this does for Jonathan Mechie. Look at what this does for a guy like Xavier Williams. Look at what this does for a guy like a Javon Baker, who's been cutting up as a freshman so far in fall camp. So having Jaylen Waddle on the field, every down player, you're going to have to be watchful of 17 wherever he is on the field, not just as a punt returner, not just as a kick returner, not just as a package guy at wide receiver, but now he's going to be a fully blown wide receiver on every single down. And he's even working on his blocking ability as you're watching this on tape here. Not only just a pass catcher, Waddle Baby is actually putting the blocking trays. Look at him drive that guy off the field, off the ball, 5 yards, moving him. So not only a explosive receiver, but also getting them hands in terms of blocking, getting them hands inside the pads of defensive backs and helping spring Najee Harris down the field, or spring Brian Robinson, or spring Trey Sanders down the field, or maybe even spring Devontae Smith if he was to catch the ball on the outside and Waddle has to throw that block in there. So being that willing, exceptional blocker, but also becoming that every down player to where you've got to have an account for where number 17, the junior from Houston, Texas, is on the field at all times. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be impactful to watch. So going from having, 1,227 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns as a specialty player to you got to know where this cat is at every given moment. I can't wait to see the stress that will be on every defensive coordinator and every defensive back's face in the upcoming season. But take another break here on the show. Upon our return, we come back to you, Todd Nation. We come back to your phone calls, your tweets, your chats, your events, your thoughts, your ideas on the Crimson Tide right after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We strolling through like the Kappas. No, not the Kappas. We strolling through here on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, on a Friday, ending your work week off correctly. But before we get to the phone lines here and take your calls, as the great fans of Tide football, got some super chats to shout out here. First off, William Bryan throwing in that $19.99 via super chats. Appreciate that, William Bryan. And Willie351 dropping a cool $3.99, $3.99 via the super chats as well. So appreciate William Bryan and our guy Willie351 showing us some love here on the show via the super chats. But it's your time again. Tide Nation, 205-448-1358. Giving you full permission now. Blow the phone lines up. We want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. But as you're getting your thoughts together here, as always, some Bama fans, they like this topic and other fans can't stand this topic. But it's the topic of, at some point, Nick Saban is going to call it a career. It's not going to be right now. It probably won't be for years to come. But at some point, Nick Saban is going to call it a career. He's going to look at Miss Terry and go, baby, we had a great run. Let's get home. Let's be with these grandkids. Let's be on Lake Tuscaloosa. Let's do that retiring thing. And when that conversation comes about, you always have fans that go, ooh, Dabo Swinney gonna replace Nick Saban. Ooh, it's gonna be Dabo. He's gonna leave Clemson. He's gonna come coach at Alabama. He was on that 1992 championship team under Gene Stallings. It's gonna be Dabo. And then you have folks that go, man, is you crazy? No, it's gonna be Jeremy Pruitt. Tennessee may not work out for him in the long run. We got that couch here for Jeremy Pruitt. Pruitt gonna come back. If other folks going, nah, bro, man, that's a lie. Nah, man. Lane Kiffin coming back, son. Lane Kiffin gonna come back here. He gonna coach this program. And then you have other guys going, man, all of y'all wrong. Mario Cristobal, he gonna leave Oregon. He coming back to the Tide. Cristobal gonna coach. Well, as of Tuesday, despite all of those ideas being thrown out there, as of Tuesday, Steve Sarkisian wanted to put his little name in the coach and waiting audition hat. So check this out. This is what Steve Sarkisian said on Tuesday, giving the ultimate homage praise to Coach Saban and the Alabama football program. Here's Sarkisian.
You know, it's always flattering when people express interest in you, and I had obviously a couple schools that wanted to interview and have those discussions, but at the end of the day, this is a special place. And I came here for stability in my career. I was coming off of my 2-year stint at Alabama. I had already left Coach Saban once in 2016, and I just felt like the timing wasn't right. He's been too good to me. Alabama's been too good to me. I love these players. The administration's been tremendous. So all in all, we've got a lot left to accomplish. For me personally, this just felt like the right thing at the right time. This is where I'm supposed to be right now in my life.
Steve Sarkisian, Alabama's been too good to me. Program's been too good to me. Coach Nick Saban has been too good to me. It just sounds like Sark is putting his name in the coach in waiting audition hat. And you know what? I'm all here for it. And the reason why I am, you look at the maturity that Sarkisian has been on. I mean, he's going to be a head coach again at some point. But I feel like for you out there as Alabama fans, the thing that you're the most proud of is the growth and the maturation of Sark as a person as well as a professional. I mean, this was somebody that, you know, he spent the majority of the early part of his coaching career as an assistant at the University of Southern California, the Trojans, and then he took the head coaching job at Washington at 2009. And, you know, whether it was the pressures of being a young head coach or it was, jumping into that a little too soon in the head coaching ranks, you know, Sark endured some personal issues. Sark endured some problems. Sark endured some rough circumstances. Some of those were self-inflicted, but you know, he continued to push to keep his head on straight. And I know in 2016 when, you know, nobody extended him an opportunity, Coach Saban, as he always does, reaches out to help those coaches that try to find stability in their life. And, you know, Coach brings Sarkisian in here. He finds some peace as an offensive analyst. He was thrown into the national championship game against Clemson to be the coordinator for that one game. You know, Sark left prematurely. I think he regrets that a little bit, but goes to the NFL, helps out with the Falcons. But in his return last year, you know, he was solid. Alabama averaged 47.2 points per game, the most in the Saban era. Was a great offense in terms of total offense, but a lot of explosive plays. And with him being back and him being around for 3 more years, signing that $2.5 million annually extension, this is somebody that is going to be. This is somebody that's very excited to bring a championship, bring a balanced offense, bring all the keys to the table here for the Crimson Tide. So while a lot of people are talking about Dabo, and some mention Jeremy Pruitt, and some mention Lane Kiffin, and some mention Mario Cristobal, keep your eyes on Steve Sarkisian. What he said on Tuesday, he is putting his name in the coach in waiting audition hat upon the end of Saban's coaching career with the Crimson Tide. But before we take our next break here, gotta get that shout out to Gucci Tide, throwing another $5 bill, another Abraham Lincoln into the super chat. So appreciate that love there coming from Gucci Tide. But when we come back on the other side of the break, we look at the Alabama offensive line and fall camp. Saban is experimenting again. Saban is shifting again, and we'll talk about the offensive line after this.
If If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, we are back in on the hottest show on the streets, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday. Be sure to always give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that you can get the best news, notes, alerts, and commentary on your favorite program. But before we dive into the final topic here, you're an Alabama fan. You are a passionate, die-hard Alabama fan, and you can't hide it, can't do nothing about it. And you are for these players. You are ride and dine for these players. This is what we need you to do right now. We need you to go to TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com and purchase these shirts. We got the We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts. We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts, showing the honor, showing the respect, showing the camaraderie, for these players. We got other apparel as well. You can get the We Want Football shirts, the Let Them Play shirts, along with other apparel by going to TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Support us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine, but also support the players, support the Crimson Tide. But we're jumping in here to final topic of conversation, and it's one near and dear to my heart because as I am a slender man, as you can see here, I fancy myself as a big man in a slender man's body. So we're looking at the offensive line, the big guys, the offensive line. It's a group that it doesn't get a lot of love. It's not the most sexiest of positions, but you know what? Those big guys do big work. I mean, they're out there blocking for the quarterback. They're out there opening holes in the run game. You know, they're the ones that make it all come together. You know, the offensive line, they're like the graham cracker and s'mores. Like, everybody cares about the marshmallow and the chocolate. And the marshmallow and the chocolate are great. But without those two graham crackers, you really don't got nothing there. So today, we got to look at this offensive line. And Coach Saban experimenting again, you know, as he always does during this time of year in fall camp, early in fall camp. So there was a picture that was floating around on Monday, the first day to start fall camp. And in the picture, from left to right, the offensive line was Alex Leatherwood, left tackle, Deontay Brown at left guard, Chris Owens, not Landon Dickerson, Chris Owens at center, Landon Dickerson at right guard, and Evan Neal at right tackle. And upon seeing this picture, it got me thinking of two things. Number one, how fast or how much has Chris Owens grown this offseason? That was the first question, because not saying he's bad. He's not bad. Great player, tremendous player, you know, strong young man. It's just that, you know, last year he kind of had some struggles early on in the season, sort of looked lost at that position. Offense kind of looked lost at that position, and then it started to gain some traction and some confidence once Landon Dickerson slid over there to take over that center spot. So how much has Chris Owens grown? How much has he gotten better? How much has he, you know, emerged at that position, having confidence at that spot this offseason? And then number two, my question was, you know, Landon Dickerson did put on some weight this offseason. He did go from 308 to 325 pounds, an increase of 17 pounds. So In Dickerson's mind, is he thinking my best shot at the NFL is playing offensive guard? And it could be. I mean, if Alabama was to have some more trouble at center with Owens, you could still slide Landon Dickerson back to that center spot. But maybe in his mind, he's thinking probably my best shot of playing professionally at the next level is to get at that offensive guard position. So right now, we got kind of a battle going on, kind of a brewing going on at that center position between Chris Owens and Landon Dickerson. Kind of a battle going on between both of those two guys. So how much has Chris Owens grown? How much has he emerged? That's the question. And then did Landon Dickerson put on the weight to kind of say, you know what, maybe my best bet here is to slide over to offensive guard. Regardless of what the case may be, this is a good problem for Alabama to have because you got a lot of veterans on this line. You've got guys that have played a ton of football. And for Kyle Flood, the offensive line coach, he's got a group that has the caliber to win the Joe Moore Award. This is a Joe Moore Award caliber winning group here on the offensive line. And Sarkisian mentioned this also on Tuesday. When you have a veteran group up front, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of stunts. You can do a lot of twists and turns. You can do a lot of motion schematically. There are a lot of different things you can do with the veteran offensive line versus what you would be able to do with a younger group or a group that's, not that, experienced. So it's interesting. It's interesting. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play this clip here on the offensive line. Check out the clip here on the O-line.
I think on third down is having packages for players and being able to find something like we talked about earlier that they're really good at. So some of these young guys might be really good edge pass rushers, DPR, so to say, on third down. But we need to be able to find some packages to be able to let them guys do that. And no, we're not going to ask them to learn the whole dime rabbits package and the whole nickel rabbits package because they're not going to have the ability to do that this early. So let's ask them what they can do well. Let's do that early. Still continuing to learn the package, ultimately learn it all, but get those guys in spots for them to excel and be able to create pressure on the quarterback because I think that room has some special talent in it this year.
Now, that was Pete Golding talking about, the defensive side of the football, but how it relates offensively. Getting the best five guys on the field in practice is going to help those five guys defend all different types of looks that opposing defenses are going to throw at them. When you have an Alabama defense that can get its fast guys on the field in practice in that dime rabbits look or in that aggressive nickel look, and they want to get after the quarterback, having, those defensive players that can do that provides a good look for this offensive line and understanding. We're going to go against some defenses this year that are going to be fast, that are going to be swift, that are going to be aggressive, but this is a veteran group. On the offensive line, this is a group that's going to be able to handle the pressures that's going to be coming at it in the upcoming season. And this is a group that it owes it to Najee Harris. Najee Harris coming back for his senior year. He wants to be a 1,000-yard back again. He wants to get individual awards. He wants a national championship. He wants a conference title. He wants to move up the school's all-time rushing list and a Heisman Trophy, among other things. You owe this to Trey Sanders and Brian Robinson and the other backs on the roster. You owe this to Mac Jones at quarterback. You got to protect that guy. You owe it to Mac Jones. You owe it to Bryce Young, and Paul Tyson. You owe it to these wide receivers so that these quarterbacks being protected, they can be able to get the ball to the wide receivers, and this group owes it to itself. So the biggest thing for Alabama here where the offensive line is concerned, get the best five guys on the field in all five spots. If Alabama can get the best five guys on the field in all five spots, it'll be okay. If Chris Owens is the guy at center, if he's the man, if he's grown, if he's matured, I'm fine with that. But, it's always great to have Landon Dickerson right there just to slide him in there and continue to maneuver as, this group looks to have Alabama balanced on the offensive side of the football. But as always, You want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your Crimson Tide. It's very simple to access this. You get this by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered here on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio. We've got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Monday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Alabama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. Also, it's not too late to get that online subscription to touchdownalabama.com. Not too late. Go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, be a part of our family, our community. Only $5.95 a month, $5.95 a month. You get the latest in Alabama football, the annual print magazine, and the most exclusive, the most exceptional, recruiting news from our own Justin Smith. $5.95 a month, but only for a limited time. This month goes out on August 31st, that being a Monday, so be sure to get that subscription. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, continue doing those things legitimately to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spit in my own words.